Judges?
So now this is where we enter the Q&A. Does anyone have any questions they want to start with? Press it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go for it.
So the proposed tariffs that you've talked about are the Canadian and Mexican and China tariffs.
Yes.
Could you tell me about, I mean, these are national programs, and we don't yet know if those are permanent tariffs, temporary negotiating tariffs, there's other tariffs being thought about. How does your proposal work if those tariffs are, you know, long-term tariffs, like say the chicken tax that's been around almost as long as I've been alive?
Yeah, so the tariffs that are that we're focusing are largely it's largely the Mexican and Canadian tariffs and the effect on the automotive industry. So
But not steel and aluminum.
Sorry.
But not steel and aluminum tariffs.
Well, anything that impacts the automotive industry, but the proposal is going to focus on mostly tier 2 and tier 3 automotive suppliers. So that's the manufacturers rather than the OEMs and the tier 1, mostly assembly suppliers. So the idea is because of these tariffs, the OEMs are in tier 1, whoever's importing the components, they have a larger cost of factors of production because they have to pay that tariff. So they're going to be willing to pay less to those further down suppliers that might be in another country. So those are the suppliers that we're focusing on. Those suppliers are going to receive less revenue because the OEMs and tier 1s are going to be willing to pay less because they have to pay the tariff. So by incentivizing the relocation, we're hoping to bring those companies and manufacturing facilities into Sterling Heights.
Right, so this is the question. So if this is a negotiating tactic, this tariff is in place for, say, for example, the steel and aluminum tariffs last time were in place for about 11 months. If you picked up and moved your steel production here, you would be facing higher costs domestically. But then after 11 months, the tariffs are gone and you can go back to buying cheap steel elsewhere. So how does the potential temporary nature of tariffs impact the long-term cost structure?
So for the next 4 years, there will definitely be the threat of tariffs consistently. Even if the tariffs go away, there will be the potential for them to come back. I think the precedent the Trump administration's already set has for protectionism makes that threat very, very present, that it is safer to have those localized industries.
Also, over time, in the long run, it's better for more localized manufacturing anyway, because it creates more jobs for the area and increases production.
Okay, if we're ready for another question, you guys mentioned potentially providing tax cuts for businesses, particularly manufacturing, which would lead to less government revenue on the long term. You guys also mentioned that Sterling Heights is known for their attractiveness via transport or housing. So I was wondering how you guys feel that those tax cuts will impact that attractiveness factor for people moving to Sterling Heights.
Well, as we bring in more population into the city, of course, we will generate more tax revenue. So it's the volume of tax revenue that will be generated will counterbalance the margin that will be generated from each person. So that's kind of how we're counterweighing it.
But also the tax solution that we propose isn't necessarily a tax cut, it's a tax abatement. So for the expansion abatement is going to cut government revenue, the main focus is going to be that tax abatement for new facilities. So right now you're not getting any revenue at all from those facilities that don't yet exist. So the potential is you're going to give this abatement so they can create this facility, but then later you'll receive that tax revenue in the long run.
And then now I have another question. So to go into your proposed solutions, you have the 30 months at 10%, or a new manufacturing building for a 100% tax abatement for 5 years. How do you guys come with these timelines of 30 months and 5 years, and what really makes them competitive or attractive timeline? So what why, like, how did you guys come to 30 months
So
and 5
we
years?
came up with the 30-month timeline to prevent construction from taking too long, while also providing a fair amount of time for the construction to actually undergo, as well as giving a reasonable incentive for the city of Sterling Heights to actually incorporate it, to actually see some revenue within the coming 5 years. We don't want, or the city does not want to wait too long to receive future revenue. So 30 months, which is 2.5 years, gives a fair and equal compromise to what the corporation manufacturing the plant wants as far as construction timeline goes, as well as what the city wants.
And then have you guys seen any effectiveness with these kind of timelines before, or is this kind of just a proposal based off what you guys have analyzed yourselves?
So a little bit of both, but there's precedent in Michigan with PA 198,
Yeah.
which was it's an abatement plan for high technology industry, where it would be an abatement for any new facilities, and over the period where that PA 198 was in place, there's been growth in those markets for producers.
So what is B198 exactly?
It's a tax abatement program for property taxes that firms can apply for in Michigan.
You guys mentioned the aerospace industry. What are the other key industries in Sterling Heights?
Sterling Heights specifically, or are we talking about just the general state of Michigan? Sterling Heights.
Sterling Heights.
I believe there was Base Systems. They had an office in Sterling Heights.
Defense.
Yes. So defense.
So defense is the number 2 employer, but in automotive's number 1. So that makes up a good portion of the of Sterling Heights industry, and a lot of that is going to be affected by the interdependence between Canada, the United States, and Mexico.
And keep in mind, a lot of the manufacturing industries, whether it be aerospace, defense, or automotive, they all work together. They share a lot of parts, they share a lot of manufacturing, and a lot of the stuff that maybe is built for the aerospace manufacturing plant, the Stellantis plant or the Ford plant will commission them to produce some parts for them as well. So all in all, it's a very holistic combination.
Okay, we're at 28 seconds, so I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.